Hi, good people out there. I stumbled on Dr. Umah Johnson, and I found his lecture very interesting, and I thought I should share it with you. Yeah, it's amazing how he was explaining repatriation, and it's not repatriation of refugees, and it was repatriation of blacks and Africans in diaspora, how it is or how it must be done. He explained it so well that my explanation might distort the whole thing. So I want to leave you listening to it. Boom.
New York is a very special place for me. It was you guys that really helped push my work out and push out who I was. And so now, globally, people know who I am. So New York and Chicago really helped push out the message as it relates to the war against black children and, of course, the good gospel of Garveyism. First thing I want to talk about today is a project that many of you have heard me speak about over the years. As Pan-Africanists, repatriation is a very serious concept for us. However, in the post-Marcus Garvey era, and Marcus Garvey left us in 1940, since his death, Pan-Africanists really have not been pushing the repatriation concept as strongly as Garvey pushed it, nor as strongly as other Pan-Africanists before Marcus Garvey pushed it. We've given up on the concept of repatriation, and we've settled for a very watered down spiritual and psychological repatriation, where you hear Pan-African scholars say, if you can't go back to Africa physically, go back to Africa in your mind. Well, Marcus Garvey would have a problem with that, and I would have a problem with that, because you don't go to the Beyonce concert in your mind. You go to the Beyonce concert in your body. You don't go to the clothing store in your mind. You don't go and get your nails done in your mind. You don't go and buy a new car in your mind. So if you don't have to travel with your imagination to all these other places, why do you have to travel with your imagination back home to Africa? Now, for those of you who don't understand repatriation, let me explain it to you. Because a lot of people think repatriation means that all African people in America are supposed to pack up and move back to Africa. Not only you, but the Africans in Europe are supposed to pack up. The Africans in Central and South America are supposed to pack up. The Africans in the Caribbean are supposed to pack up. The Africans in Australia. Everyone should pack up and go back to the motherland. That is not repatriation. Repatriation is scientific and it is strategic. And as His Excellency Marcus Messiah Garvey spoke of it, repatriation is only for those who can give something back to Africa. Only for those who are loyal enough in their Pan-Africanism and in their African ideology to want to go back and do the groundwork. It is not for all Africans. In fact, Mr. Garvey said, quote, "Some of you are no good in America and will likewise be no good in Africa. I have no intention of sending every Negro back home." Well, I'm here to tell you, 80 years after Garvey, I am also not interested in sending every one of you back home. Could you imagine what it would look like if 40 million black folks showed up in Nigeria, or showed up in Ghana, or showed up in Ethiopia, or showed up in Tanzania, or showed up in South Africa, or the Congo, 40 million deep, getting off Noah's Ark, not with 2 giraffes, but 2 white girls on your arm. Not with 2 lions, but a basketball and a football under each arm. Not with 2 chimpanzees, but with a bottle of relaxer and a bottle of blonde hair color under each arm. The point is, repatriation is not a utopic ideal. So then what is it, Dr. Umar? Repatriation is based on the premise that as Africa goes, so goes all of Africa's children. That means what? That means that until Africa is strong, you can never be. If you want to know why we haven't gone further in our civil rights struggle, if you want to know why we're still being murdered by police, if you want to know why you've never gotten a share of America's wealth, look no further than the condition of your mother continent. I need y'all to quiet down. Her treatment and her level of respect reflects upon you. And your problem as African Americans is you keep on trying to escape Africa's shadow. You keep on trying to separate yourself from your race, thinking that if I identify as an American, maybe I'll be treated as one. We do the same thing in the UK. We do the same thing in the Caribbean. We do it in Asia and Australia, trying to run away from being black. Thinking that if we come up with a new ideology, if we come up with a new identity, white folks will accept us. Your destiny is tied up in the destiny of Africa. Marcus Garvey said, strong people are strong everywhere. In other words, Chinese kids belong to gangs just like yours. There are Asian gangs in this country more violent than the Crips and Bloods have ever been. But they don't get killed by police. There are East Indian gangs in America, but those kids don't get killed by police. There's Native American gangs in America. Those children don't get murdered by police. So what is it about you? What makes you unique in the rainbow of multiculturalism is that you're the only non-white people in America for whom the country has no regard whatsoever for how it treats you. Because they know there's no country and there's no continent coming to argue in your defense. You are by yourself. And you are by yourself because you choose to be, not because you have to be. You've taken that African umbilical cord. You've detached it. You said we don't want to be identified with that continent. Treat us as a separate nation within your nation. But the world don't operate like that. Wherever they see a Chinese, Chinese are going to get respect because China gets it. Wherever they see an East Indian, East Indians are going to get respect because East India gets it. Wherever they see Arabs, Arabs are going to get respect despite the so-called war on terror, because there's countries in the so-called Middle East that will not allow members of their race to be disrespected in another country. So if you think you're going to get some progress without seeing to it that Africa gets some progress, you're living in a dream world. Repatriation says some of you got to go back. Some of you engineers, some of you doctors, some of you educators, some of you business experts got to go back and work from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean to improve the status of our mother, Africa, so she can become strong enough to do what? Look out for us. We don't all have to go back to Africa. No one ever argued, no Pan-Africanist ever argued for a wholesale deportation of blacks from the West. Never. They said some. Some. And if some go and do their job correctly, the rest of you can live in peace, because America will now know we can't kill them off on the streets no more. Because Zimbabwe said if we do, don't come looking for no more diamonds. We can't kill them off in the streets no more. Because Nigeria said the next time a black boy dies, don't come looking for no oil. We can't kill them off in the streets no more. Because the Democratic Republic of the Congo said the next time a black mother loses a baby prematurely on the birthing table, don't come looking for no Cotan, no more cell phones for you. You need that protection. Repatriation says some of us go back to build up the continent so she can look out for us wherever we are. We have a right to live anywhere in the world. Pan-Africanism doesn't say we all got to be in Africa, but we must all be for Africa. Not all Chinese live in China, but every Chinaman is for China. Not all Italians live in Italy, but every one of them. Even Italian children who never been back home, they still wave that flag. Because they understand something a lot of you don't understand. The fact that you were not born there has nothing to do whatsoever with the DNA in your body. So
thank you so much for watching. I hope you find it interesting. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please don't hesitate to share, like, subscribe, and comment below in the comment section. And we share your opinions. And that will energize me to give you more. Thank you so much for watching. Boom.